So when I paint icons, I use natural pigments. I don't use synthetic pigments. I use free-range eggs. My sister, where's she over there? My sister has some eggs, and she has the most brilliant eggs. I can tell you a good yolk, and it doesn't come from Tesco. The quality has to be the very best. I use gold, real gold, not gold paint, not synthetic imitation gold, but real gold. I use lime wood because it's a very stable wood. It's got a lovely fragrance, actually, lime wood. It's resistant to beetles and things like that, so it's going to last. It's good quality. Rabbit skin glue. I know some of you who love your rabbits will be a bit upset by that, but it's hide glue, so made from animal skins. But you're using animals, vegetables, minerals, and weaving them all together to make a prayer of praise to God. It's part of redeeming the world. An iconographer isn't painting a bit of his ego. I don't want you to go and look at those paintings. Oh, isn't he interesting? Just look how he's presented this and he's thought about that. What I want you to do is say, God is here. God is here. And this really, I meet him here. So it becomes a dialogue between you and God. Because an icon is a place where God meets us. In modern art, or when I say modern art, I mean everything from about 1500. In modern art, you create a window that you look through. You become a voyeur. You don't participate. You remain safely detached and you watch what they're doing over here. In an icon, perspective is reversed. So actually, if you look at it, the things furthest away are bigger. If you look at the throne that Jesus is sat on in an icon, you'll find that it sort of swings round, it's sort of expanded at the back like this, and then comes together at the front. Why? Because the focus point, the vanishing point, isn't at the back, it's in the front. You stand here, and you're not a voyeur looking in, you're standing and it's looking at you. It grabs you. This is Christian art. Okay? We don't voyeur anybody. We meet God. The whole point of the incarnation is that God becomes man, flesh, human, and embraces us and meets us. He comes and lives with us, tabernacles among us. He doesn't lead a little holy life over here that we can voyeur. He sits alongside us and meets us and speaks to us. If you read the Bible and the gospel stories, Jesus is not, we don't look at it from afar, but we are taken into when he meets people and what happens. So in Christian art, we're in the business of redeeming creation. That's what a Christian artist does. So it's a sacred work, a holy work. And it's something which, once you get on the inside of it, takes you into wonderful places. Really wonderful places. Iconography, rather than just talking about iconography, is really liturgical art. It's art that fits in the Eucharist. Just like the scriptures fit in the Eucharist. You take the Bible home, you read it for yourself, but the place where it really comes alive is where we all come together and we meet Jesus. When you're listening to the gospel read on Sunday, together, that's when the scriptures really come alive. In the same way, Christian art is something that it fits into this redeeming celebration, this celebration of redemption that actually is the experience of being redeemed. Art should be a part of that. It's not a little picture on the wall to decorate a space. It's something that actually makes the encounter with Jesus deeper and more inclusive, more holistic. It's holistic art. So, where do we find it? We find it in mosaics. If you've been in the holidays, say for example in Sicily, okay, and you've seen some of the ancient churches there with their mosaic. The painting's usually a mosaic, absolutely wonderful medium. icon panels, such as you'll see in the exhibition here, wall paintings, for example, frescoes, which is on fresh plaster. I've done a little bit of fresco, but it's really hard work and I damaged my back, so I tend to give that. I tend to do wall paintings. That's what I was doing last week. I was in Amman, the capital city of Jordan, in a tiny little church, painting the apse, and I ended up painting these two panels on the sanctuary walls as well. But painted in dry paint on dry plaster. Relief carvings, so statues and relief work. And also manuscripts, some of those wonderful Bibles with all the wonderful work. These aren't just decoration, this is redeeming creation. And we've got to really remember that. Art is not just, oh, aren't they clever? Or, I don't understand. It's actually colour, shape, form, which is actually the way it's meant to be, the way God intended things to be. By the way, this is an icon, one of the very earliest icons from the 5th century. It's in the, maybe 6th century, it's in the monastery of St. Catherine in Sinai, where Moses had the burning bush and all that stuff. They have a monastery there, and it's been there continuously since about the year 500 and something. And this icon is from the very, very beginning, and it's in wax. A technique that we've lost. We don't know how to do it really now. People try, but really nobody's been able to really master the finesse of that era. And the one on the left, that's one that I painted last week in a map. So you've got the sweep of history, and it's a living art form. That isn't a copy, it's a new icon for a new place, but you can see the continuation of this tradition. It's a living tradition. Now, I'd like to just go back on our cultural bit now, try and take you into an icon. Right, two paintings. One from the 17th century by Velázquez, Spanish, of a pope. And the next one is by Francis Bacon, modern English artist. And that's his version of that painting. Okay, now, the first painting, what do you see? The one on the left. Well, first of all, which ones do you prefer? Which one would you, if you had to choose, which one would be the one you take and put in your living room? The one on the right, or the one on the left? Can we just have a show of hands? Who would go for the one on the right?
Me, but I wouldn't put it in the living room, sorry.
Who would put it in the toilet? Who would prefer the one on the left? Okay, yes, I think most of us would go there. Why would you prefer the one on the left? One of the ladies over there who put their hands up. Why would you choose the one on the left?
Because I can see what it represents. The other one I don't understand.
Okay, good. Comprehension.
Yeah.
The one on the right is disturbing.
Yes.
And you might not want to be disturbing yourself.
Exactly. It might be an interesting painting to have, but to live with. Which one do you think is beautiful? Either of them?
Beautifully executed.
Okay, beautifully executed. And beauty is another issue. What is beautiful? Oh, it's in the eye of the beholder. Rubbish. Beauty is about truth.
I think the one on the left is intended to evoke a very dramatic feeling. Sorry, the right.
Yeah.
Whereas the one on the left, you could, because we're so aware of paintings being painted in this way,
Yeah.
we can easily pass by it and perhaps not even notice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's very more arresting, really.
It's saying two very different things about what it means to be a human being.
What it means to be a pope.
And what it means to be a poet. I mean, I love the painting on the left. Because of the quality of the material. It's a celebration of life. It's a happy painting. I mean, it looks a miserable, obviously, but Nevertheless, it's a beautiful painting. I mean, it's got some nice clothes. And it's beautifully done. You see the way the light is reflecting off that?
It almost draws you more to the fabric than the person.
Exactly. Which is probably a statement about what it means, what Velasquez thought of the Pope. It's a powerful image. It's a celebration of very earthly power. And the way it's looking at you is like, why are you painting me? But it's almost like, despite the person, something beautiful is happening. It's a painting you can live with and enjoy and return to, even though you can pass it by. The one on the right, and I think any of us who know anything about Francis Bacon know he was a very tortured person. His understanding of what it meant to be a human being was confused, torturous, broken. And when you see that painting, the colours, the screen, it's scary. It's a brilliant painting, but it's a very, very disturbing painting. It's not just a little disturbing, it's very, very disturbing. The more you look at it, the colour, you see, there's nothing beautiful in that at all. It's harsh, it's destructive, and you have to stretch your imagination to really see it as beautiful. And in terms of truth, it doesn't know what it's talking about. That's part of its problem. It's easy to be destructive and to destroy, but to create something beautiful, to redeem it. The first painting is a redeeming painting. Who knows what the Pope was like? And from that, the way his face is, you think, well, actually, he's probably not such a nice guy. But Velasquez has redeemed the situation, still given us something beautiful, and said something important about the nobility of a person, about the importance of the office, about matter and materials. And that's why I think what's very interesting is people's instinct about what's beautiful is still there in us. You know, when you go to an art gallery and you see, you know, art today is about confronting you, making you think, disturbing you. It's not about making things that are beautiful. My niece just had her exam in art, and we went to look at the work she'd done. And a lot of the work was we were discussing it with the teacher and on what they'd done, about all the place of women, for example, and all this sort of stuff. But no talk about beauty. Christians believe in the beautiful. And that's what the artist is about, is making beautiful things. That's our craft. Visually, to bring something that is redemptive, and what's redeemed is beautiful. Jesus is a beautiful person.
And would you say that is because you're trying to create peace? And peace is about Christ brings peace. That something disturbing, like the one on the right, leaves you in a destructive place.
It does, exactly. Exactly. Yes. Brilliant connection. Let's look at another two images. Two images of Pope Leo the Great. One 16th century, one contemporary. It's not a particularly good icon, but it's an icon. What strikes you about these two images? I mean, in terms of what's their execution, the one on the left is obviously by somebody who's very, very talented. The one on the right is by somebody who's not particularly talented.
There's loads of movement on the left. Stillness on the right.
Exactly. Exactly. You see where they're looking? Here, you're standing as part of the crowd looking at what's happening here. This is Pope Leo as he confronts Hannibal, or one of when they had the sack of Rome. Anyway, it's a scene, and we're here looking in. He doesn't look at us. Secondly, it's a historical scene. He's dressed all in the garb of the church.